Hello, everyone. I'm Alice. Have you noticed that recently immigrating to Canada seems to have suddenly shifted from you're welcome as a guest to VIPs only? This isn't an illusion. Canada's immigration policy is undergoing a major transformation from an inclusive and friendly to precisely self serving. Today, let's discuss how Immigration Minister Lena Metley Diab's so called optimization has actually narrowed the path forward. On the surface, it claims to select more suitable candidates, but dig deeper and you'll find these new rules resemble a setup, creating closed-loop traps for ordinary people while erecting dead-end barriers against non-elite talent. Let's start with the core express entry reforms. Previously, the approach cast a wide net. Now it uses a magnifying glass to hunt for perfect tools. The three newly added priority categories feature absurdly high thresholds. Take senior managers, only top-tier executives under knock codes starting with 000 qualify. Think industry captains in construction or decision makers in finance. Ordinary white-collar workers or mid-level managers. Sorry, you can't even touch an entry ticket. Then there's researchers, which sounds impressive until you see the ginseng requirement. Canadian work experience. How ironic. Which globally renowned research giant previously worked in Canada. This single clause shuts out most overseas talent outright. Even more extreme is the skilled military recruits category, demanding 10 consecutive years in a foreign military, plus a 3-year full-time job offer from the Canadian Armed Forces, and a 2-year post-secondary education. Frankly, this is targeted recruitment having nothing whatsoever to do with ordinary immigration applicants. Beyond occupational categories, work experience requirements have quietly doubled. The minimum threshold jumped from 6 months to 1 year. Officially, they relaxed continuity rules, sounding quite humane. Not really. For temporary visa holders drifting abroad, this means either enduring another half year of hardship and employer exploitation overseas or being barred entirely. Several details particularly reveal this utilitarian mindset. Transportation occupations underwent a massive overhaul. Roles slated for retirement by February 2025 are outright discarded, abandoning a cohort of experienced practitioners. Newly added positions like pilots and aircraft mechanics carry extremely high barriers, while ordinary truck drivers and bus drivers lost eligibility entirely. Most disheartening is the complete elimination of the agriculture and agri-food category. Though previously a marginal player issuing only 550 invitations across its first 3 draws its cancellation, sends a cold message. When needed, you're cheap labor. When not, you're kicked aside without hesitation. At this point, you might think, isn't excellence enough? It's far more complicated. A clear double standard lurks beneath. On one hand, express entry implements precision self-serving screening, selecting only those who can immediately fill gaps and generate revenue. On the other, Bill C-12 enforces severe one-size-fits-all asylum cutoff, claiming anyone residing in Canada over 1 year shouldn't apply for asylum. This maneuver extinguishes survival hopes for vulnerable groups like LGBTQ plus individuals and survivors of domestic violence. Even bar associations and Amnesty International couldn't stay silent, criticizing this as a 2-track system. More tellingly, the minister explicitly stated that foreign citizens attending the 2026 World Cup should not consider applying for asylum. Translated plainly, tourists, immigrants, and refugees are sharply demarcated with chilling coldness. In this environment, express entry has become a suffocating closed-loop trap. Want to qualify via category-based selection? That's supposedly the only path for those lacking Canadian experience or provincial nominations. Yet, conversely, the Canadian experience class demands at least 1 year of local professional work experience. Isn't this a vicious cycle? No experience blocks entry. Entry requires experience. Data doesn't lie. Among 56 category-based express entry draws issuing over 140,000 invitations, nearly 80,000 went solely to French language proficiency candidates, with the remainder carved up by healthcare, STEM, and other specialties. Opportunities left for ordinary people are truly scarce. This isn't talent selection, it's barrier construction. Even more critical, Even if you struggle desperately to get in, you might merely become disposable material within the nation-building economic plan. Once your utility expires, the next policy adjustment could optimize you away again. This uncertainty is the greatest risk of all. Thus, Canada's immigration logic has fundamentally shifted. The former wide-net approach has become today's precision fishing, retaining only high-value assets while discarding ordinary labor. In their new definition, immigrants are no longer ordinary seekers of stability, but must instantly fill gaps and minimize resource consumption as nation builders. Those needing time to adapt and grow are eliminated before even starting, even if their future contributions could be immense. What does this mean for ordinary people? It means narrowing paths and intensifying competition. Eliminated agricultural workers and laborers aren't insufficiently excellent. They simply fail to meet current self-serving standards. Even if you qualify, you must constantly guard against policy reversals, for in this system, no one can guarantee they won't be kicked aside tomorrow. The era of fantasizing about low-cost immigration to Canada has indeed passed. Recognizing this reality and preparing long-term strategies to navigate change matter more than anything else. Of course, as a traditional immigrant nation, Canada's true future challenge lies in balancing national interest calculations while preserving humanitarian compassion, ensuring immigration never becomes purely a cold economic instrument. After all, in our globalized world, a society's warmth often resides precisely in how it treats newcomers. That's all for today's video. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support is my greatest motivation to keep going. See you next time.